Well, now, that was a battle, wasn't it? In the last chapter. Goodness me, when all the toys came alive from the cupboard and had a big, huge battle. Very exciting. This chapter is chapter 6 and it's called Laid Up. Laid Up. My mum used to say that. She'd laid up in bed. Laid up means ill, poorly. When Mary awoke out of her deep, death-like sleep, she was lying in her own bed and the sun appeared shining clear and bright in the room, though the windows were covered with frost. By her side sat a strange gentleman whom, however, she presently recognised as a surgeon. She's awake now, he said softly, and up came her mother, regarding her with anxious looks of inquiry. Oh, dear mother, murmured little Mary, are all the mice gone then? And is the good Nutcracker safe? Oh, don't talk such silly stuff, Mary, answered her mother. What have the mice to do with the Nutcracker? But you naughty child, have given us all a great deal of trouble and anxiety. That comes of children having their own way and not obeying their parents. Last night you were playing with your toys very late. You grew sleepy, and it may be that you were frightened by a mouse jumping out, though there used to be no mice here. Anyway, you struck your arm against the glass of the cupboard and cut yourself so badly that this gentleman, who has just taken out the bits of glass sticking in your arm, says you might have got a serious injury or even bled to death if the glass had cut a vein. Thank God that I woke up in the middle of the night and then I found you not in bed, got up, went into the parlour, and there you lay, senseless beside the cupboard and were bleeding fast. I almost fainted away myself for fright to see you lying among a number of Fred's lead toy soldiers and other toys, broken motto figures and gingerbread men, but the Nutcracker lay on your cut arm and your left shoe was not far off. Well, we know what happened, don't we? Oh, dear mother, broke in Mary. These were the remains of the great fight between the toys and mice, and what alarmed me so much was that not only the mice trying to take Nutcracker prisoner, who commanded the toy army, Nutcracker did, then I threw my shoe amongst the mice, and after that, I don't know what happened. The surgeon looked meaningly at her mother, who said very gently to Mary, Never mind, my dear child. Keep yourself easy. The mice are all gone, and Nutcracker is safe and sound in the cupboard. Here, Dr. Staubum came into the room and had a long conversation with the surgeon. Then he felt Mary's pulse, and she could make out that they were talking about her fever. She had to lie in bed and take medicine, and this lasted several days, although, except for the pain in her arm, she didn't feel much was the matter with her. She knew that Nutcracker had come safe out of the battle, and he often appeared to her as if in a dream, speaking quite plainly, but in a very sad voice. Mary, dearest lady, I am deeply indebted to you, but there is yet more which you can do for me. Ooh. Mary thought a great deal over this speech, but had no idea what it might be that she could do for him. She was not able to play much with the toys on account of her wounded arm, and if she tried to read or turn over picture books, there came such a strange swimming in her eyes that she had to leave off. So time passed wearisomely slow for her. Wearisomely slow for her. And she had scarcely patience to wait for the twilight hour, which came so welcome that then her mother sat on the bed and read or told her stories. One evening, her mother had just finished the most entertaining history of Prince Charming when the door opened and in came Godfather Drosselmeyer with these words. Now I really must see for myself how my sick and wounded Mary is getting on. Oh, we haven't heard from him for a while, have we? As soon as Mary saw Godfather Drosselmeyer in his drab coat, there returned to her a clear memory of that night when Nutcracker lost the battle against the mice, and she could not keep herself from crying out aloud to the counsellor, "Oh, Godfather Drosselmeyer, you are so ugly when..." That's not very nice, is it? It was so ugly when I saw you very well, sitting over the clock and covering it with your wings to prevent it from striking loudly so as not to scare away the mice. I heard you very well calling to the Mouse King. Why did you not come to help Nutcracker and me, you ugly Godfather Drosselmeyer? Isn't it all your fault, then, that I have to lie sick and wounded in bed? Whatever is the matter with you, dear Mary? Asked her mother, quite startled. But Godfather Drosselmeyer made some very queer face and snarled out a sort of sing-song, thus. Pendulum, tick, tick, clock, clock, click, click. Hammer goes dong, ding, hour rings out, ting, ting. Hunt away, Mouse King. Owl spreads her light wing. Toys may now dance and sing. Clock strikes ting, ting. All the works click, click. Pendulum goes tick, tick, click, tick. Wing, pa, boom, bang, bang. Brr, ding, dong. So ends my song. Mary stared at Godfather Drosselmere with wide eyes. Well, you would, wouldn't you? And he opened quite their widest, for he looked quite different and even much uglier than his usual self, and moved his right arm up and down like a puppet pulled by strings. He would have really terrified her if her mother had not been there, and if presently Fred, having slipped in the meanwhile, had not burst into a loud laugh. Godfather Drosselmere, you're so funny today, he cried out. You're going on exactly like my old jumping jack, which I threw away behind the stove a long time ago. Ooh, odd. But their mother said, looking seriously, Dear Mr. Counsellor, this is a strange kind of fun. What may the meaning be of it? Dear me, answered Drosselmere, laughing. Don't you remember my pretty clockmaker's song? I'm in the way of singing it always to patients like Mary. And then he sat down close to Mary's bed and said, You must not be offended if I have not cut out all of the Mouse King's 14 eyes, but that is out of the question, and instead of it, I'm going to give you a great pleasure. With this, the counsellor put his hand into his pocket, and what he now slowly drew forth was no other than the Nutcracker, whose lost teeth had been very cleverly set firm again, and his jaw mended. Mary cried out for joy, and her mother said with a smile, You see how well Godfather Drosselmere meant by your Nutcracker. That you must own, Mary, interrupted the counsellor, and you must also own that Nutcracker has not grown quite so straight as he might have done, and that his looks can't be called handsome. If you care to hear it, I will tell you how this ugliness came into his family, or perhaps you already know the history of Prince Pirlipat of the Witch Mousey Kings and of the skilful clockmaker. Just listen, suddenly broke in Fred. Just listen, Godfather Drosselmere. You have put Nutcracker's teeth right enough, and his chin is no more wobbly, but where's his sword gone? Why have you not given him a sword? Eh? Replied the counsellor, not very well pleased. Oh, you fuss and find fault about everything, youngster. What business is it of mine that Nutcracker's sword? I've healed his body. He can get a sword for himself as he pleases. That's true, cried Fred. If he's a brave fellow, he will soon manage to find weapons. Well, Mary, went on the counsellor, tell me if you know the story of Princess Pirlipat. Oh, no, answered Mary. Do tell it, was dear Godfather Drosselmere. Do tell it. I hope, said the doctor's wife, I hope, dear Mr. Counsellor, that your story is not such a creepy one as they usually are. Not at all, dearest lady, answered Drosselmere. On the contrary, what I am going to have the honour to lay before you is very amusing. Oh, do tell us, do, dear godfather, cried the children. And the counsellor thus began his tale. And you're going to have to wait until tomorrow to find out what his tale is. I'm a little confused by Godfather Drosselmere. 1 minute I think he's a bit weird and creepy, and then he does something really nice. I think it's probably quite a lot of Mary's imagination, don't you? Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing the story from our lovely Kate Walsh tomorrow. So I will see you in a few days. I was turning around to see if I could find something to show you because I like showing you things, but I couldn't. So not to worry. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching.